Hey, guess what's happening on this week's episode of the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with your friend and host, Oscar Camejo.
Hey fellas, what is your waistline in inches right now? Is your waistline over 40 inches? Listen, the trouble with belly fat is that it's not just limited to that layer of padding just below the skin. That's what's called subcutaneous fat. No, we need to focus in on visceral fat. That's that belly fat that lies deep inside the abdomen and surrounds our internal organs. You see, regardless of a person's overall weight, having a large amount of belly fat raises the risk of high blood pressure, an unhealthy amount of fat in the blood, sleep apnea, heart disease, high blood sugar, and diabetes. Certain cancers, the risk of stroke, fatty liver disease, early death in so many cases. You see, folks, when it comes to our gut health is more important than just losing stomach fat and developing a six-pack. Yeah, we all want a six-pack for the most part. But listen, fellas, we need to care more about our internal health than just our aesthetics. Yeah, we want to look strong, we want to look healthy, but health starts from within. That's why we have to focus on what's taking place inside our bodies and not so much what we look like on the outside. Our internal health, gentlemen, is more important than how we look in the mirror. In my last episode, I shared the importance of gut health for men who have a gut belly. Today, we're going to dive into part 2 to explore the simple and practical steps to improve your gut health. In today's episode, I want to continue the series on men's health to help you learn the smart ways to improve your overall health. And of course, how the health of your gut impacts more than just your physique. So fellas, you know what time it is. Stick around to hear the rest of today's episode. You don't want to miss it. Let's go. Be sure to visit the website at www.beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com for access to free resources and other information that will help you along your journey. If you would like to submit a question or a comment about the show or to learn more about the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle, you can always email me at hello@beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Welcome to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with me, your host, Oscar Camejo, helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. I want to give a shout out to all of my TikTok and Facebook followers. I really appreciate you guys. Also, those of you who are on Instagram, who follow me even through my website, through YouTube. A big shout out to you all. I have folks listening in Europe, Asia, throughout the United States. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. And be sure to always leave a comment, write in if you have any questions and so forth. Definitely check out what I have on social media and so forth. And let me know how this podcast and the content that I put out impacts your life. You know, folks, I used to be 268 pounds. I can relate to being overweight. I can relate to having high blood pressure. I can relate to having inflammation issues, pain in my knees, pain in my back, throughout my body. And it was difficult when I wanted to lose weight. It was just very hard. It was very difficult. I wanted to get into more walking and hiking and then eventually running, but it was a challenge because I was carrying so much weight, specifically the weight in my gut. I remember not being able to see my feet. Matter of fact, I'm looking at a picture right now from 2019, and it was a picture that was taken of me at work. And I remember in this picture, I was overweight. I was sluggish. I remember putting on this shirt, and it got to the point where I could no longer button the top button. Now, I know we're talking about gut health, but I want to talk about my overall size at the time. You know, when I was diagnosed with prediabetes in 2018, I ignored the recommendations of my physician and my healthcare team. I was just like, okay, yeah, at least I don't have full blown type 2 diabetes. So fast forward to 2019 when this picture was taken, I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, my face was huge. I had dark circles around my eyes, dark pigment around my neck. I mean, my waist was huge. And, growing up, I was never a huge guy. It was literally between, I want to say 2014 and 2019 or so, 2020, that I gained so much weight. And then my health just started to decline. Again, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, eventually being diagnosed with prediabetes. And then by August 2020, I had developed full blown type 2 diabetes. And I ended up in the hospital. And it was in the hospital that I found out that I had type 2 diabetes. And ever since then, man, I've been on a journey, or I started a journey of not only losing weight, but just to regain my health. And I can tell you that in less than a year, folks, from the time I was in the hospital in August 2020 to roughly the summer of 2021, I made a drastic change of my mindset, my lifestyle, and I was able to lose over 80 pounds in that time frame in less than a year. I was able to come off all medications, from type 2 diabetes medication to high blood pressure medication, high cholesterol, all of that. I was able to get off of it. My doctor weaned me off of it. It didn't happen overnight. It took some time. Yeah. And you know what? Looking back, I could have prevented my health from declining had I paid attention to what my physician was saying. I would have not developed prediabetes, and let alone eventually type 2 diabetes. I would have saved a lot of money. I would have saved, just a whole bunch of things. I would have saved a lot of stress. It was so much going on, folks, that, looking back, I wish I had taken my life serious enough and my health serious enough. But I'm glad I finally changed my lifestyle. And now I have the opportunity to help others like you who are listening to do the same and to turn your life around. So today, folks, let's dive into this week's episode, From Gut Belly to Gut Health, Part 2. This is taken from my series on men's health. Now, here's a quick review that I think it's very important for you to grasp and remember. If you haven't listened to that Part 1 of From Gut Belly to Gut Health, I want you to pause this and go listen to that one first, because it's going to make a lot more sense. Now, if you did listen to Part 1 and you're ready to go on to Part 2, that's great. Now, here's a quick review, though. Now, poor gut health can impact you in various ways, including fatigue, forgetfulness, a lack of focus. It can lead to allergies and make allergies even worse. Developing constant colds, dealing with constipation, diarrhea, excess flatulence or excess gas, weight gain, which is very, very big, and bloating. You see, your gut health can also have an impact on your risk of developing diabetes. You see, folks, I wish I had known all of this stuff when I was going out and eating fast food like 3 times a day, 4 to 5 times a week. I mean, I used to eat fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes I would eat a whole bunch of pizza on Pizza Thursdays, and I would eat a lot of fried foods. I was eating a lot of sugary foods too, cookies and cakes and stuff like that. And I don't want you to think that I'm vilifying and making all of these things that I'm listing as really bad foods. It's just my consumption of it at the time. And maybe your consumption of these foods, again, fried foods, sugary drinks, sugary foods, maybe it's in excess. That's how it was for me. I'll be honest. I was eating a lot of unhealthy foods. I wasn't eating vegetables on a regular basis. I was just eating things that I just really, really liked and just didn't think about, the impact that those foods were having on my body. I didn't know that the food I was eating was leading to fatigue, leading to forgetfulness, causing me to have a lack of focus, I thought, hey, it was okay. As long as I take some, my vitamin supplements, I'll be fine. Doing that, was it men's, one a day men's multivitamin? I thought I was good. I considered that being healthy. I would exercise maybe on occasion and whatnot, but I wasn't focused really on my health. So I paid the consequences for it, for making those decisions. And when it comes to the health that a lot of us experience, especially the increase of diabetes, you're talking about blood sugar regulation. Yeah, your gut can impact your blood sugar regulation. And for those of you who have diabetes or pre-diabetes, regulating your blood sugar is very important. And you can get to the point where you're not just regulating it using medication. You can regulate it by the food choices that you make on a day-to-day basis. Your gut health also impacts diabetes in terms of chronic inflammation. Inflammation that is not bad in of itself. It's, how like when let's say you sprain an ankle and your ankle swells, that's inflammation. That's your body going into repair mode. That's acute inflammation, basically temporary inflammation. You're going to feel pain. You're going to have redness. It's going to be sore to the touch. That's your body doing what it's supposed to do. And inflammation is a part of the repair. However, chronic inflammation is not good. Folks, I remember my knees would hurt all the time. I used to wear knee braces going to the gym because I was feeling so much pain. I was carrying so much weight. The food that I was eating was impacting my weight. It was impacting my joints. It was impacting a whole bunch of things. So gut health also impacts your diabetes risk when it comes to your metabolism. In other words, that's the breakdown and absorption of nutrients in your body. Metabolism affects whether or not your body stores fat regularly or uses fat for energy. So body fat storage versus the usage of fat for energy. Folks, if we're eating a lot of food and we're not using that food for energy on a regular basis through exercise and mobility and so forth, our body is simply going to be storing that fat because it's like, okay, well, I need to store this fat and use it for energy later on versus let me go ahead, accumulate this energy source, use that energy source on a regular basis. That's why it's important for us to make sure that we're minimizing how much energy or calories we're taking in versus how much energy we're expelling. So that'll make more sense in a little bit. So, for example, if you are eating a lot of food and let's say right after dinner, you just go and sit on the couch. You're not exercising after dinner. You go straight to bed. Obviously, that energy is going to be stored. Those calories are going to be stored. How are you going to be using it later on? You get up the next morning and you eat some more. You have a huge breakfast, but you're not exercising. You're not expelling more energy than you're taking in. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. All right, let's move on. Gut health impacts your risk of diabetes in terms of your nutrient absorption. When you eat food, how is your body using the nutrients that it absorbs? Are there some deficiencies? Are you not eating enough vegetables that are packed with a lot of nutrients? And therefore, your body isn't receiving the proper amount of nutrients that you need. And are you dealing with some deficiencies? There's some deficiencies with vitamin C and what that leads to. Vitamin A, what does that lead to? Vitamin B, what does that lead to? And if your gut is out of whack, if you will, if your gut health is poor, there's going to be issues with absorbing the nutrients that you do get when you do eat proper foods. So, moving on, hormone regulation, feeling full versus feeling hungry. There are times where people eat so much, but they still feel hungry. You know how it is. You may eat a bunch of bread and you just constantly eating, but you still don't have that sense of being full. I remember I used to eat late at night and I would still get up in the middle of the night, still hungry for some snacks. So I would get up at midnight or maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, fix a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I was feeling hungry, and I would drink some juice with that or some soda. And guess what? A few hours later, I would wake up in the middle of the night, have to go to the bathroom, to go urinate. And guess what I used to do? Go and pop in a Pop-Tart 2-3 o'clock in the morning because I was still hungry. So again, hormone regulation is impacted by your gut health. And when your gut health is out of balance, it can lead to your risk of developing diabetes. Now let's move on. What about weight management? Again, gut health impacts your weight management. Putting on more weight versus losing the weight that you need. Now, stick with me. What about your gut and brain connection? If you're stressed out a lot, if you're dealing with anxiety, your nervous system is having some challenges, even maybe your mental health, maybe you're dealing with some depression. It could be that there are some issues going on with your gut health. And that's definitely something that you want to talk with your physician about. Because guess what, folks? When you talk about mood and having mood disorders and so forth, you definitely want to find out the connection between your gut, the things that you're putting in your body, what's happening inside your body, what's happening with your thoughts, what's happening with your brain activity, and so forth. It's definitely not something that you want to take lightly. Now, in terms of diabetes, you may have heard this term called insulin resistance. Basically, when we eat food. Okay, now when it comes to diabetes risk and your gut health, we talked a little bit about weight management. I want to focus in on insulin resistance for a minute. Okay, folks, when it comes to your diabetes risk and gut health, this is very important. We talked about weight management a few moments ago, and I want to dig a little deeper for a moment. Now, whenever we consume something that's sugary, whether it's a pastry, or drink something that is sugary like soda or coffee that has a lot of sugar in it, or a sports drink that's high in sugar, or let's say if we eat something that's high in carbs, right? That raises our blood sugar. That raises our glucose level, basically the sugar that's in your blood. Now, our bodies naturally knows how to handle the increase of our blood sugar, and that's called blood sugar regulation. Now, the specific organ that handles blood sugar regulation is our pancreas. Now, I don't want to get too technical, but listen up for a moment. Our bodies, through our pancreas, creates insulin. Insulin is not just some medication that you just inject. Insulin, natural insulin, is produced by the pancreas. Insulin is that hormone that works to reduce your blood sugar. Okay? Now, imagine if you're constantly eating high sugary foods like I used to, whether it's late at night or throughout the day, having these sugar spikes after eating lots of bread or, high carb foods, or eating a bunch of rice, or even eating cookies and pastries, drinking sugary drinks, or having Pop-Tarts. I used to eat Pop-Tarts late at night sometimes, followed by orange juice or grape juice, what have you. So you're talking about constant levels, high levels of glucose or sugar in your blood. Now, insulin works to absorb that sugar from or that glucose from your bloodstream, convert it to energy, and send that glucose to the parts of your body that needs it, right? Your muscles and so forth. Now, what happens is when our bodies don't either produce insulin like it's supposed to, or insulin no longer has the effects that it's designed to have, which is regulating blood sugar, making sure that our blood sugar does not remain high, we have what's called insulin resistance, or we develop what's called insulin resistance. So just in the name, it tells you there is a resistance to insulin, or the resistance to the effects of insulin. Now, one of the signs of insulin resistance is weight gain. Is when you see a guy that has a waist over 40 inches or more, and for women, I think it's 35 inches or more, that could be a sign of insulin resistance. That's not the only sign, but again, that is a sign of insulin resistance. Now follow me. Hyperglycemia or high blood sugar levels is another sign of insulin resistance. Frequent urination is a sign of insulin resistance. Why? Because the body says, okay, whoa, there's too much sugar in the blood. We need to go into overdrive and release that blood sugar. And the way that the body does that is through urination. And there's a whole study on that, how diabetes was first discovered. It was people, they used to taste the urine, believe it or not, and it had this sweet taste to it. So that's where frequent urination comes in, right? So if you're frequently going to the bathroom, I remember for me, when I think the weekend that I was going into the hospital, I was like urinating like every 15 minutes, which was crazy. And that was my body trying to release all the sugar that was in my system. So again, some more signs of insulin resistance is weight gain. Talked about that. Blurred vision, tingling in like your arm, your fingers and your toes, feeling fatigue, an increased amount of thirst, dealing with headaches, high cholesterol, dealing with brain fog, high blood pressure, frequent hunger. Talked about that. The dark spots around your neck. I used to have that as well. And for women, irregular menstruation. So those are some signs of insulin resistance. But again, your gut health impacts your risk of diabetes. And diabetes is said to be brought on by insulin resistance, right? So there is a connection, again, between your gut health, what's happening in your gut, and your risk of diabetes, which that risk of diabetes is increased when there are signs of insulin resistance. Okay, you still with me? Now, I want to recap what I mentioned in my last episode regarding choosing the right approach to healing your gut. Let me say this. There is no single method to healing your gut. There is no single pill. There is no single supplement that you can take. There is no powder, no magic pill. There is nothing magical about healing your gut. You see, the health of each of our bodies is individualized. I don't want you to focus on, well, man, I have constipation and that's it, or I have bloating, or I'm dealing with brain fog and that's it. We have to consider everything that's going on in our life. You can go to the pharmacy and get something for constipation. You can get something for bloating. They have these pills now for brain fog. But if you just focus on even just irritable bowel syndrome and you just take a pill or you take some medication just for those individual things, but not really consider, man, my entire lifestyle. What kind of impact is that having on my overall health? You could be setting yourself up for failure in terms of your health. So I want you to consider your entire lifestyle. That's what I mentioned in my last episode. Consider your diet, not a diet, but consider how you eat on a regular basis. What about your exercise and so forth? Alcohol, or how much alcohol are you consuming? Are you under a lot of stress? These are all lifestyle factors that we have to take into consideration. What about your sleep? Are you getting less than 6 hours of sleep at night? Sometimes maybe 4 hours of sleep at night. That was me. I thought I could just survive and be okay with 4 hours of sleep a night. And I'm telling you, I was dealing with more stress because of a lack of sleep. That lack of sleep impacted my food choices. My food choices impacted just how I function. I was hungry all the time and so forth. And no wonder I blew up. I mean, it's not just one specific thing. I was eating a lot of processed foods. What about you? How much processed foods are you eating, from meats to pastries, even processed dairies? How much soda and sugary sweetened beverages are you drinking on a day-to-day basis? Man, exercise, fellas, if you're not exercising on a regular basis, you could be doing more damage than good. And I believe for the most part, the majority of you all who are listening, you know this already. You know you have to eat better. You know you have to exercise more. You know you have to stop being sedentary and not moving about as much. You know you have to do these things. But I know sometimes you're like, okay, Oscar, I hear what you're saying, but how do I make this a reality? How do I jumpstart my good health? Well, again, folks, I mentioned before, I know you want a six pack. Don't think, oh, well, let me go to the gym today and work out 5-6 times a day and that'll be it. I'm going to work on these abs and I want to develop these abs. Folks, yeah, you can do that, but it doesn't stop there. Going to the gym is not going to make you lose weight. It's a part of it. Folks, I see guys in the gym all the time. They're lifting weights all the time. They're lifting heavy weights all the time. They have strong arms, big legs. Some guys have skinny legs, but you still see they have this huge gut. I hear guys talking about, oh man, after the gym, they're going to go ahead and, drink alcohol. Man, I saw some guys smoking outside the parking lot, outside the gym in the parking lot the other day. And I'm like, man, if you only realize the impact that your drinking and smoking is having on your health, the stress that you may be under, and the impact that it's having on your health. Yeah, I see some skinny guys in there too, and they're lifting heavy weights and they're looking for the aesthetics, and yeah, that's cool and everything, but they still are putting some unhealthy things in their bodies and they're dealing with the effects of that. Now, I'm going to list some 7 steps that I believe you can take. Number 1, you have to address inflammation. Number 2, you have to improve the integrity of your gut wall or your gut lining. Number 3, you need to focus on supporting your digestive organs. Number 4, you have to restore healthy gut bugs or your gut flora. Now, my first episode, I went into detail about what your gut bugs are, what gut flora are. Number 5, detox, very important. Number 6, make healthy food choices, no brainer. And number 7, make healthy exercise choices. Now, let me break these down for you and help you to jumpstart your way to good health. Number 1, address inflammation. I talked about it earlier, but inflammation is a common issue that can wreak havoc on your gut. Acute inflammation is, again, your body's natural response to injury or an infection. But chronic inflammation can lead to various problems, including your gut issues. Now, here's some practical steps. you want to start consuming some anti-inflammatory foods. Foods like turmeric, ginger, leafy greens. I love spinach, kale. You want to incorporate fatty fish into your diet. Fatty fish, like salmon, very healthy source of fat and other nutritions. Now, you also want to avoid some triggers when it comes to addressing inflammation. You have to limit your intake of processed foods, sugar, and alcohol, which I'm telling you contributes to inflammation. Now, number 2, you need to improve the integrity of your gut wall or your gut lining. You see, a healthy gut lining acts as a barrier to harmful substances. When this lining is compromised, it can lead to what's known as leaky gut. If you Google leaky gut, there's all kinds of information that will come up to help you to understand what it is to have a leaky gut. And I talked a little bit about it in my last episode as well. As you can see, I'm constantly pointing you back to that first episode. Now, here's some practical steps to improve the integrity of your gut lining. Bone broth. Drinking bone broth can help support and heal the gut lining. I'm telling you, bone broth is one of those things that a lot of people have implemented in their life, and it has changed things around. When you also incorporate amino acids, proper amino acids that can help support your gut wall integrity, it goes a long way. And you can get healthy amino acids out of foods like chicken, fish, spinach, or even in certain supplements. So think about that. Now, there's a specific amino acid that you want to look up and research. It's L-glutamine. Now, number 3, let's move on. Focus on supportive digestive organs. That's your liver, your pancreas, and your gallbladder. They all play crucial roles in your digestion. If you're having digestive issues, guys, you want to understand what's going on with your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder. And when you start supporting these organs, you are going to improve your overall gut health. Now, here's some practical steps. Bitter greens. You want to incorporate foods like dandelion greens, arugula, and kale to stimulate those digestive juices. As you can see, I'm a big proponent of dark green vegetables and having a variety of vegetables. Don't just have spinach and that's it. Now, some people say, okay, well, romaine lettuce, I ate a salad and that's it. No, you want to incorporate a variety of healthy greens in your diet on a regular basis. Now, again, I'm not saying go on a diet. I'm talking about your regular diet, basically your eating pattern. Now, another important way to support your digestive organs is hydration. Drink plenty of water to support your liver and kidney functions. That's going to help with detoxifying your body. And we're going to talk a little bit about detoxifying in just a moment. But drinking plenty of water goes a long way. Folks, I remember, let me say this real quick. I remember I used to hate drinking water. Well, when I say hate it, I used to hate it drinking it on a regular basis. I was not drinking water like I do now. I mean, I would drink water only if I was thirsty and there was no juice in the house or something else to drink. And for me, if I was exercising, I would get some water, but that's about it. Folks, I'm telling you, I love drinking water, and water has done wonders with helping me to think better, to sleep better, and just feel overall refreshed and healthy. So again, hydration, hydration, hydration. Your cells need water. Your body needs water. Your muscles need water. Your joints need water. Listen, folks, your brain health is dependent on water. How long do you think you can last without drinking water? If you were stuck on a desert island, right? Just think about it. They have whole TV shows like with Bear Grylls on being dropped off in the middle of nowhere and they had to find a water source. So just think about that. All right, number 4, restore healthy gut bugs or your gut flora. Your gut is a home to trillions of bacteria, which is mind blowing. And that bacteria actually aids in the digestion and overall health of your body. You see, when you start to focus on restoring a healthy balance of those bacteria, you'll start realizing that it's not only essential for your brain activity, but just your immune system and so forth. So go back to that list I mentioned early on. So you want to keep your gut health and your gut bacteria healthy. And you can do that practically through probiotics and prebiotics. Now, probiotics include probiotic rich foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and even kimchi. Prebiotics, come in the form of like garlic, onions, bananas, asparagus. Those are great for feeding the good bacteria in your gut. Now, if you notice, I'm not just talking about going out and buying a supplement and just taking a supplement and so forth. No, I believe that food has healing properties. Food is a solution. God gave us foods and water to really help nourish our bodies, to give our bodies what it needs to function on a day-to-day basis. Folks, I love eating vegetables. Like I said, I love eating variety of vegetables. I incorporate green, red, and yellow vegetables almost every day, whether it's tomatoes, spinach, kale, you name it, onions, and same thing with fruit. I like to have a variety of fruit and I eat by color, yellow, red, green, you name it. I love kiwi. That's green. Bananas, I eat that. There's so much variety and so much healing properties in food that we simply cannot continue and should not continue ignoring it. Now, I mentioned about detoxing earlier. Detox is very important. You see, detoxifying your body can remove harmful substances that could be affecting your overall gut health. Now, let me say this. I want you to be mindful and I want you to avoid extreme detoxing. Now, yeah, you can find a whole bunch of detoxing methods on social media. Somebody may say, get a gallon of water and put a bunch of cayenne pepper in it with squeeze some lemon in it and only have that for 5 or 6 days. Okay. I don't know. I've never done that. I've never had a desire to do that. And I'm not saying that you should. Some people go on extreme fasts because they want to detox their body. They want to do a flush, if you will. Or they may take this cleanser that they heard about on social media or that they saw in the store and they said, hey, just drink this and you'll be okay. Folks, listen, when I'm talking about detoxing, I'm talking about reducing the things that you're putting in your body that are harmful to your body, the fried foods, detoxing from foods that are high in saturated fat. I'm talking about detoxing your body from over-processed or highly processed foods. You get your sliced meats and stuff like that, and you're eating that for lunch every day with your sandwiches and you're drinking a bunch of soda. I'm talking about detoxing yourself from harmful foods, not just foods that have toxins from the environment like pesticides and so forth. Yes, organic foods can help you to reduce your intake of toxins. But what I'm talking about is naturally detoxing your body through drinking water again, consuming fiber-rich foods, and consider, treating your body good by giving it what it needs and giving it less of what it does not need. Make sense? Okay. There's a right way to detox and there's a wrong way to detox. Do not think, fellas, that, hey, you know what? I need to lose all this belly fat. So I need to just go on these extreme diets and I need to go on these extreme detox methods. I'm telling you, you can do more harm than good. Okay, number 6, we're almost done. Make healthy food choices. Again, everything goes back to food. You see, the food that you eat directly impacts your gut health. I can't overemphasize that. When you make mindful choices, those choices will make a significant difference in your health. You know, practically speaking, I want you to start eating more whole foods. A focus on whole, unprocessed foods like fruit. Again, I go back to fruit. Eat whole vegetables. Eat lean proteins. Eat healthy fats like avocado and fatty fish. Now, you may say, well, hold up, Oscar. Before you said that, you know, we need to reduce body fat, but now you're telling me to eat fats. There's a difference. Okay. Your liver is the organ responsible for creating fat. Fat in and of itself is not bad, right? Your cells are covered in a thin layer of a lipid or fat. When I'm talking about consuming healthy fats like avocado, eating avocado is not what's making you overweight. Is not making a person overweight. When you're eating lean protein, that's not what I'm talking about. When you're eating salmon, those are healthy sources of good fat. You know, you've heard of fish oil. When you go to the store and you buy, or the pharmacy, and you pick up some fish oil, the omega-3 fish oils, and it said that is good for reducing cholesterol and so forth. It's good for heart health. It's the same thing. So I'm saying, rather than just going and getting a supplement, go ahead and get your healthy source of fat from foods, again, like avocados, fatty fish, which are also packed with other nutrients that will help your body improve in terms of your health. Make sense? Okay. Back to making more healthy food choices. Fiber. We talked about whole foods. Now, what about fiber? When you include plenty of fiber-rich foods like beans, legumes, whole grains, and vegetables, you will be supporting your body in terms of healthy digestion. You know, fiber is very important. If you're chronically constipated, it could be that you don't have enough fiber in your diet. Now, I'm not saying now go, as some people do. You see a fiber bar, right? And it's like, oh, you know what? I see this bar. It says that it has a whole bunch of, well, this chocolate bar has a whole bunch of fiber in it. You know, it says that it's healthy on the package. So I just eat that and I'm good to go. No, remember, whole foods, real foods, not processed foods that some marketing campaign came up with to try to get you to buy this product. Now, I'm in marketing and I understand marketing. We have to consume more fiber-rich foods, actual whole foods, whole grain, vegetables. Did you know that vegetables have fiber? Fruit also has fiber. So the more food, actual food we consume versus processed foods, the better we'll be in terms of our health. Take an orange, for example. An orange, just its physical makeup, is packed with fiber. Same thing with kiwi. An actual kiwi is packed with fiber. Now imagine you drink orange juice. You say, okay, you know what? I don't want to eat an orange and I don't want to eat a kiwi, but I'll drink an orange juice or I'll drink some kiwi juice and I'll be fine. Well, by doing that, you're consuming less fiber. There is no fiber in juice. There is no fiber in these drinks that you're taking or that you're consuming. That's why it's important to improve your digestion by eating foods that are rich in fiber. Now, just think of fiber as like a broom, right? It helps to sweep your intestines as your food is passing through your body. Fiber helps food to pass along to avoid you having constipation. Make sense? All right. Number 7, and we're almost done. I'll make healthy exercise choices. Now, do I really need to spend time on this, a lot of time on this? No. It is recommended that you get at least 150 minutes of intense exercise each week. Now, intense doesn't mean where you're about to pass out or whatnot. No, we're talking about consistent exercise, which is about roughly 30 minutes a day of moderate to intense exercise for most days of the week. You know, activities like walking, jogging, cycling can be beneficial. I like running. You know, that's a great exercise. I like high intensity workouts, high intensity interval workouts, where let's say for 30 seconds, I'm doing an intense workout or an exercise, and then I take 30 seconds of rest, right? Or I may do a minute of running real fast on the treadmill. Then I take a 2-minute break, then go back and run at a high intensity. There's so many practical exercises that you can do. Now, if you say, okay, Oscar, I can't, move really fast. Well, you know what? I think it's important to go walking, and don't just slow walk it all the time. Try to pick up your pace. The more and more you pick up your pace, the more and more you'll get your intensity minutes in on a regular basis. You see, folks, before I started running marathons and ultra marathons and running these road races and trail running, before I did all of that, I would just do a lot of walking. And yeah, I would walk a mile, then a mile became 2 miles, 2 miles became 4, and so forth. Yes, I dealt with sore ankles, I dealt with sore knees and so forth. But the more and more I kept walking, the more I was developing a mindset of consistency. So I don't want you to go and work out one day a week and that's it. And then the rest of the week, you don't pay attention to your exercise. You don't pay attention to your food choices. You don't pay attention to your gut health. And you're thinking that, okay, as long as I work out, at the beginning of the week, I'm good for the rest of the week. No, I want you to aim for at least 30 minutes a day of moderate to intense workout throughout the week. Now, you can mix that up. You can mix it up with some strength training and so forth. And I can deal with some of that in another episode. But the importance of what I'm saying is you have to begin making healthy exercise choices. I don't want you to be sedentary, gentlemen. Yes, you want to get rid of that 6-pack. Doing crunches is not the way to get rid of a 6-pack. Your crunches and those sit-ups are really just helping you to strengthen the muscles that are underneath. But again, dealing with the belly fat, we have to focus in on, if you remember, I said at the top of this episode, you have to deal with not only the subcutaneous fat, the fat that's just under the skin, but the internal fat, the fat that's around the organs, which is the visceral fat. And the way to burn that fat is not by sitting in a sauna at the gym for 15, 20 minutes and that's it. And you don't do any exercises and you don't change your eating habits. Burning the fat does not mean going out and putting a plastic bag over you while you're walking outside in the dead of summer when it's really hot. That's extreme. You don't have to go to these extreme measures to quote unquote burn fat. Sweating is not burning fat, folks. I know, when we think of burning fat, we think of literally like heating up fat. so it can just melt away. Folks, listen, back to what I said earlier. If you're eating more energy in terms of food than you're expelling or using, you're going to accumulate more fat. That fat is going to be stored, is going to be saved for later use. That's just how our bodies are made. We eat food for fuel or energy. The body uses what it needs and stores the rest unless you engage in exercise or some physical activity to help you on a regular basis use up that energy. Okay? Does that make sense? So again, make sure you are aiming for intense exercise, intense to moderate to intense exercises, but also that you're engaging in healthier food choices, which is not overeating, eating more vegetables, eating less bread, rice, pasta, potatoes. Those are all high carb foods that unless you are expelling that energy, you're simply going to accumulate it. And I don't know about you, but most guys accumulate that weight and accumulate body fat in their gut. So now you understand why I wanted to do an episode series from gut belly to gut health. Because again, it's not about the aesthetics. It's about what's going on inside our bodies. So folks, hopefully you got something out of these last two episodes, part 1 and part 2. Definitely talk to your friends about their health. Talk to your family members and your loved ones about their health. But fellas, we need to set the example of what it means to lead the way when it comes to our health and our overall gut health. Yes, aesthetically, you want to get the 6-pack, but there are certain steps that you have to take to get there. I have over 100 episodes where I covered a whole range of topics. Again, from weight loss to the best and worst diets, stress management, dealing with food cravings, how to kick sugar cravings, how to read nutrition labels, and so much more. Check out my library of resources on my website. Check out the other episodes that I have on my podcast network. Folks, listen, I'm all about helping diabetics make lifestyle changes to reverse type 2 diabetes. And whether you have diabetes or not, I think losing weight is very important. And to help you with losing weight, I want you to go to my website at beatingdiabetieslifestyle.com to download a free weight loss planner. It's a powerful tool that can help you to stay focused and get you motivated on your weight loss journey. It's absolutely free. Again, just go to the website, download it, and it's yours. So make sure you're tracking your progress. This resources will help you to track your progress. It'll help you to see positive results and will help you to make positive changes, whether small or great. So be sure to download that resource. Now, as always, folks, stay focused, keep moving, never go back, leap forward, bounce back because you can, my friend. And above all else, trust God. You got this. I believe in you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Beating Diabetes Lifestyle Podcast with Oscar Camejo. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for motivational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care by a physician or other healthcare professional or qualified fitness instructor. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or professional advice or services. If you're looking for help on your journey, seek a qualified medical practitioner. It's important that you utilize someone who is a trained, licensed healthcare professional who can help you on your journey toward good health.